Hey, what is going on, guys? iDeviceFocus here. Today I'm going to be showing you guys the camera comparison between the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max. Right now it's 6 p.m, which is just 1 hour before the sunset, which most videographers and photographers agree that this is the best time, best lighting if you want to take photo, if you want to take video. So I just want to test out these two cameras and kind of compare them, test out the overall quality as well as the photo quality, video quality, also the 4K 120 FPS on the 16 Pro Max. And if you just wait a little bit, when the sun is down, we're gonna also test out the low quality in the basically harsher conditions. So hopefully you guys are excited. Let's just dive right into this video. All right, so what you just saw was entirely shot with the iPhone 16 Pro Max at 4K 60 FPS. But now I'm gonna switch to the iPhone 14 Pro Max right here. So right here, as you guys can see, what you are seeing is the iPhone 14 Pro Max being shot at 4K 60 FPS. And this is right here is the iPhone 16 Pro Max. You guys can see just walking, casual, casual videography, maybe vlogging outside. My purpose is just to show you guys the quality difference, if there is any improvements in everyday practical conditions. So if you someone who vlog, or if you someone who just takes travel videos or anything like this, you guys can see kind of the difference between these two. I'm just crossing the road here. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch to the iPhone 16 Pro. Right here, as you guys can see, I just switched. So this is coming from the iPhone 16 Pro Max. You guys can see the audio quality. You guys can see how it looks like with the rear camera, 4K 60 FPS. Just casual walking, holding the phone in my hands. You guys can see how stable it is, if it is stable, if there is any improvements from the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which I'm gonna switch right now. All right, so right here, I just switched to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, handheld, everything is same, wide angle. We're shooting at 4K 60 FPS. You guys can see if there is any difference in the stabilization, if there is any difference in the audio quality or the video quality. As I said, right now is the almost like ideal lighting conditions. So right before sunrise or sunset, this is usually the golden hour, best conditions, so we can see the maximum capacity of these devices. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually switch to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and then we're gonna shoot at 4K 120 FPS, because this device, this bad boy right here, can shoot at 4K 120 FPS with the rear facing camera. So I'm gonna set this up right here. You guys can see right there, 4K 120 FPS. So what you're seeing is now the iPhone 16 Pro Max shooting 4K 120 FPS, which is kind of mind-blowing to think about, to be honest, being able to shoot at this such a high frame rate, where you can go in post-production and you can just slow it down. You can just make a cinematic footage out of this style of video. So how is this any different? Is it noticeably smoother? How is the stabilization? I'm gonna try to just slow down my walking right now in a few seconds, or maybe try to take some shots of the cars moving and try to slow that down in the post-production, and you guys can see how well the 4K 100 FPS actually is. So I'm gonna do that right now. So right here, as you guys can see, this is 4K 120 FPS. We're just taking videos of cars passing by. You guys can see the quality, how smooth it is and stuff like this. And now we're shooting at 2x the telephoto lens, 4K 120 FPS. You guys can see how smooth the quality is coming from the 2x lens. So now I just hopped onto the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I'm shooting with the front-facing camera, cinematic mode at 4K 30 FPS. You guys can see the background is blurred. I purposely didn't set the aperture to be too low, where the background is completely blurry, and I personally don't like how it looks, very fake. So you guys can see both of these can shoot up to 4K 30 FPS in cinematic mode. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch right here to the 16 Pro Max. Just hopped on right here, as you guys can see, 16 Pro Max shooting at cinematic mode, 4K 30 FPS. You guys can see how it handles the stabilization. When you usually shoot 4K, when you usually shoot cinematic mode, the stabilization kicks in and it's a lot more smoother footage. I'm not sure how well it is with the front facing camera, and sorry for the noise. So yeah, you guys can be the judge and let me know what you guys think about the cinematic mode. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hop on to the cinematic mode with the rear facing camera 1x right here, as you guys can see. I'm gonna go ahead, hop on to the iPhone 14 Pro Max. You guys can see how the quality is looking on the cinematic mode, 4K 30 FPS from the iPhone 14 Pro Max. How good is the stabilization? How good is the handling of the edges of my face, especially when I like move around and talk, move my head. You guys can see and compare. Now I'm gonna hop on to this one right here, as you guys can see. I'm gonna hop on to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. You guys can see the cinematic mode, 4K 30 FPS coming out of the rear facing camera of iPhone 16 Pro Max. Pay attention to the edges of my face, how it's handling the, holding up the object in focus, how it is handling the stabilization. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna test out the slow motion feature of these devices. On the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you can shoot 4K 120 FPS. You can just slow it down, get a buttery smooth slow motion. I'm gonna use that and shoot a video, but before we do that, we're gonna test out on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. So right here, the slow motion on the front facing camera, we're gonna do. So on the front facing camera, you can do HD 120 FPS, full HD 120 FPS right here, as you guys can see. I'm gonna hop on and just kind of shake my face and you guys can see how the quality is right here. How good is it? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing but with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. On the iPhone 16 Pro Max, as I said, right here, as you guys can see, you can shoot 4K 120 FPS. I'm gonna do the same thing basically where I shake my hand right here. You guys can see how well, you guys can see which one is the better one. So while we're already on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I'm gonna switch to the rear facing camera. We can do 4K 120 FPS slow-mo. I'm gonna go ahead. 1, 2, 3. You guys can see the result right here. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop on to the iPhone 14 Pro Max and test out the rear facing camera. So obviously, even on the rear facing camera on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, the maximum you can do is HD 120 FPS. You guys can see it right here, 1x right here. We're gonna test it out. 1, 2, 3. So you guys can see the result now. So now you can see one of them is shooting 4K 60 FPS with the rear camera, and one of them is shooting 4K 120 FPS. You guys can see the difference, how it's handling the stabilization, as well as I'm going to switch between the audio. You guys can see how the audio quality is in both of these devices. So now these red colors, how it handles, especially with the green background, the trees, how it handles the difference, you guys can see. So now both of them are shooting 4K 30 FPS. As you guys can see, it is nighttime now. You guys can see the low light quality. All right, so now with the front facing camera, 4K 30 FPS, you guys can see the difference. I turned on my car's light right here so that it helps a little bit. You guys can see how the quality is, how it's handling it in a little bit difficult condition. Right here, as you guys can see, moving around. Not bad at all. All right, so as you guys can see, now we're shooting at a low light condition right here, as you guys can see, with some street lights. You can see that we're shooting 4K 60 FPS. You guys can be the judge on how they're compared with each other. I think both of them are doing pretty good job, except the glare. The iPhones have some issues with the glare, but other than that, I think they are performing really well. I'm gonna turn on the face camera right now. All right, so now we're filming with the front-facing camera. You guys can see 4K 60 FPS on both of these devices. If I just turn around right here, you guys can see how the quality is on the 16 Pro Max on the right side, and then 14 Pro Max on the left side. I think it is not bad at all. But nonetheless, guys, I hope this video was helpful for you guys and educational. I tried my best to compare both of these devices in different lighting conditions, in different settings. If it was helpful, you know what to do. Subscribe down below for more videos like this one, and also let me know which other camera should I compare the 16 Pro Max to, especially maybe with the base model iPhone 16 I can compare it to. Definitely subscribe so you don't miss those videos. Thanks again for watching. Leave me a big thumbs up. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.